being here. My name is Melissa Phillips. I'm the chair of the Technical Programming Council at AOAC, and you just heard from Emily, who is the vice chair. So we are just hosting these informational tutorial sessions at the beginning of each of the calls so that we can help share information about how this whole process works so that there's no surprises for anyone, and give you an opportunity to ask questions and hopefully be able to submit both symposia and abstracts for talks that are likely to get accepted. So with that, I will just move on to the timeline. So this is our timeline for 2026 annual meeting. We are here at this big red dot. So we have just finished up our review for all of the sessions that were submitted to the call for sessions. And we are now moving into the call for speakers. So sessions closed and we have completed all of our reviews. So we're going to just walk through kind of from this red dot on in today's webinar. So before I get into too much detail about the process, I just want to remind everybody who the Technical Programming Council is. We are 17 AOAC volunteers. We represent diverse perspectives, and amongst all of us have decades of experience, both working in AOAC and also in our respective fields. I've highlighted in the graph on the right some of the different number of members that have expertise in the different tracks that encompass the AOAC technical program. So you can see we are pretty diverse and have a number of experts in each area. The TPC members also represent a variety of backgrounds in terms of industrial sectors. So we have folks that work for industry, academia, government, and non-government organizations, both encompassing current positions and former positions. In terms of industry, we have major food and supplement companies, as well as contract testing laboratories and instrument manufacturers. So we are really quite diverse. It's a fun group to get together and talk about sessions and speakers. So we are coming up on the call for speakers. It's going to open later this week. And one of the biggest questions we get is, how is the program structured? And so I wanted to highlight the two different types of symposia that we have in the program. If you attended our previous tutorial, you'll know that we also have workshops and roundtables. Those are not part of the call for speakers, so we're not going to talk about those today, but we did accept a couple of roundtables and workshops for the final program. So we're only going to be talking about symposia today. When I say symposium, I mean 3 to 4 speakers, each delivering a presentation with slides, and then there's a chair that kind of facilitates that process. So those are what we're focusing on today. So there are 2 types. One is an organized symposium. So those are the ones where the chairs have already submitted an abstract to the TPC in the previous call. Some of those were accepted, some were not. The other type of symposium is a contributed one, where these will be created by the TPC during the review process. So this call for speakers encompasses both of these types of symposia. For organized symposia, everyone who wishes to present in that symposium must submit an abstract. So even if you're the chair of the session and you heard that your session was accepted, if you plan to give a talk, you need to submit an abstract that will be reviewed by the TPC. If you have already talked to people that you want to present in your session, they need to submit an abstract. So just including their name in the original call is not sufficient to have them accepted to your session. Because these are open calls, somebody that submits to an organized symposium can also indicate that they would be willing to be put in a different session if the session they submit to is full. So these are some options that we have. So if you're submitting to an organized symposium, you need to submit a title and an abstract along with your contact information, and you need to be sure to select that symposium that you're submitting your abstract to. The other type of symposium that we have, as I mentioned, is a contributed symposium. So these are a group of people that have just submitted abstracts, not connected to one another. And then the TPC works to review those abstracts, and we put them together with other similar topics. And that may be methodology, that may be types of matrices, that might be types of analytes. It could be anything in terms of what constitutes related topics. We kind of do the best with what we have and what talks are rated highly by the TPC, and then we put them together. We also have taken talks that are submitted as toward a contributed symposium and moved them into an organized symposium, either because they were a better fit than some of the ones that were submitted for the organized symposium, or because maybe there weren't enough submitted for the organized symposium. As part of a submission for a contributed symposium, speakers can also indicate whether they'd be willing to chair. Because again, remember, we're just assembling these sessions from what's submitted. So we don't have a chair in mind at the time. So it's lovely when a speaker is willing to do that and can be the chair. So for that type of submission, you need to submit a title and an abstract and your contact information, and then select from one of the tracks that are posted on the website for categorization with other talks. So that's things like botanicals and dietary supplements, or quality assurance and reference materials, chemical contaminants. Those are the types of tracks we have. So basically this call will be open for a month. We will collect all of the submitted abstracts, and then after the close, which I believe is on April 23rd, I have the date for sure at the end, but after the close, everything is blinded prior to review. So we're trying to remove any bias towards certain organizations or certain people, and really just grade based on the quality of the content in the abstract. And new this year, we're going to ask chairs who have had an organized symposium accepted to come into the system and review the sessions or the speakers that were submitted to their session. So that will be a new feature this year. We're looking forward to that, but that gives the chairs a little bit more input into what abstracts are accepted for their sessions. So as for reviewing and scoring, again, I want to reiterate, everything is blinded prior to review. So nobody that's reviewing these is scoring them based on name or organization. The abstracts are divided based on the track that they're submitted to. So that is true for contributed sessions. And then for organized sessions, the session has already been put in a track by the chair. So it's still true for both cases. And then the TPC members, each TPC member has 3 to 4 different tracks that they review for. And we score everything on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being least aligned and 5 being most aligned, based on scientific novelty, importance and timeliness of the topic to the field, alignment with the AOAC science programs, which are highlighted in that QR code. If you're not familiar with what those are, you can review those. And then a category of general interest to attendees. So whether we think this fits well with the type of people that attend AOAC. I mentioned a new feature this year is we're asking symposium chairs to review and score abstracts that are submitted to the organized symposium, which again will just be factored in with the other reviews of the TPC. And then as the TPC chair, I will get all of the scores and I will compile them and review them and present them to the TPC. And then we will make our final decisions in a long meeting that we have where we decide what actual talks will be presented at the annual meeting. After that, we attempt to assemble the program by, again, making sure that each organized session has the number of speakers that was desired by the chair. So 3 to 4, depending on the the chair and what they requested. And then we take some of the highest scoring speakers from contributed sessions and put those into new unique symposia that we form. We also have some student award recipients that give presentations, and so we fit those in as well. It is a very large puzzle that we try our best to assemble a good program using the scores that we have. After we do all of that, Lauren Schell from AOAC will notify everybody that submitted whether or not their session or their presentation was accepted or rejected. And then Emily and I spent some time with a spreadsheet trying to put all of these sessions into time slots. And we try really hard to avoid overlapping time slots for chairs and speakers and any similar topics. So again, another piece of the puzzle is trying to fit everything together so that both attendees and presenters don't have to do too much in one day or bounce around between different rooms or try to be in two places at once. If you are here because you submitted an organized symposium to the previous call and it was accepted, congratulations. You should have been notified of that last week. And some of the tips we have for you is that we recommend that you contact the speakers that you proposed in your submission and share with them the information about how to submit an abstract. Make sure that they select your session. It's also beneficial if you would like to meet with them ahead of the submission deadline, maybe as a group to make sure that there isn't any overlap in the content that they plan to present. I know in the past that's been a bit tricky for the TPC, again, because everything is blinded. And when speakers have abstracts that are too similar in topic, it's hard for us to know necessarily that they might fit well together. So having that alignment ahead of time amongst the group is beneficial. Again, if you're a chair and you intend to speak in the session, then you also must submit an abstract. So prepare your own abstract to get that submitted on time. Mark your calendar because the week of April 27th to May 1st, we're going to be asking you to review abstracts submitted to your session. And then also just kind of keep an eye out for anything from AOAC related to updates to the program so that you can communicate that with your speakers. I know we're all busy, but I think that the best chance of success for any of these sessions is for really good communication from the chair to the intended speakers. So that's really important. And then lastly, I just want to highlight again the dates. So the call for speakers opens on Thursday and it will close on April 23rd. If you have any, this QR code links you directly to the call for speakers for the program. And if you have any additional questions, you can reach out to AOAC at that email address there. So I think that's all I have to share, but I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
No questions in the chat.
It's clear. Everybody knows what's happening.
I do have a question. I'm Madeline. May I?
Hi.
Hi, Melissa. I know you from the tag committees.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my first interaction with AOAC. And I was just looking through the list that you have of the areas that you cover.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at the information in the QR code, will that give me an idea of whether or not the material I want to present would be applicable?
Are you referring to the AOAC science programs?
No, to be a speaker at the program in August.
Yeah, that list on the call for speakers is exactly what we're looking for. So if your work fits into any of those areas, absolutely, it would be aligned.
I'm just not sure whether it would be. What I'm working on are hybrid aqueous organic solvent standards. Inorganic Ventures, a CRM manufacturer. It's an
Sure.
alternative. Yeah, thanks. It's an alternative to the traditional organometallic standards. And just off the top of your head, do you see that fitting in someplace?
I would say yes. We have, I know a, we have an accepted session related to metals analysis
Oh, okay,
that might be appropriate, but then we also
sure.
have a track related to reference materials, quality assurance and reference materials. So if you
Uh-huh,
submitted to the contributed symposium
uh-huh,
side,
uh-huh. Yes,
and chose
yes,
that track, then
yes.
in theory, if there were other submissions to that as well, we could group you with other reference material producers or other quality assurance topics.
Great, great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Quiet group today.
I suppose that means we're going to have an excellent AOAC this year.
I think so. One question that I have gotten since the acceptances were sent last week is whether or not there is funding available for speakers. Just so everybody is clear that there is no funding being offered, no complimentary registration or travel assistance. So if you are accepted, you are expected to pay for your own registration and get yourself to the meeting. Everything is in person. So just so that's clear for everyone.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Emily. This is Lauren with AOAC. Like Melissa said, if anyone has any questions, meetings at aoac.org will come to me, and I can try to help you out. Like Melissa said, the call for speakers opens this Thursday. So between now and Thursday, if you want to just go to our website, check out the information that's on there now. The links to actually submit aren't up yet. Those will be up Thursday morning Eastern time. And if you're interested in what the registration fees are or how much the rooms at the JW Marriott in Indianapolis are going for, that information is also on our website. Both registration and housing open on April 1st. And if there's
Are the
nothing else, oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to ask, is the list of accepted organized sessions available
It
yet or not yet?
sure is.
It
Yep.
is amazing.
Yeah. So that's up on the website. It's a link. Once you go to the call for speakers, once you scroll down a bit under organized symposium, you'll see a link and that'll take you to a separate page, which initially lists the 18 sessions that were accepted, the symposia that were accepted. And then if you click on the title, that'll take you into a more in-depth description. It'll show you the abstract, the chair or chairs, and the title. And then you'll know what is going to be your choices for organized symposium.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. And with that, I'll just wish everyone a happy rest of their Monday.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you
everybody,
very
and
much.
thanks, Melissa.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Emily.